From 2010 to 2015, I drove a cab in Chicago. You may remember a show called Taxicab Confessions on HBO. I could do an entire season reboot all by myself. I actually have 3 types of stories. Ones I can tell, ones I won't, and ones I wish I could forget. Picture it, Chicago, O'Hare Airport cab line, right? It's probably 1 a.m. on a Wednesday night. Now, as a cab driver, when you pick someone up at the airport, you have to first pull into a specific staging area, where as many as 100 or more cabs will be lined up and directed into the pickup area, 1 cab at a time. Now, in off times, you might spend an hour or more in that line, basically because you know it's going to be a good $50 fare or more if you do. And in the middle of the night on a Wednesday, it's a pretty good bet. Now, one night we're out there in that line, standing around talking like we often did, and that night we decided to play a game called Wadlord. Wadlord is a game that we used to play with my sales team at Marcus Evans, but that's a whole nother story. If you don't know what Wadlord is, it's basically a fast cash, high risk gamble that you can do with a group of 5 people or more. One person being designated as the Wadlord. Now, their job is to know how much cash is in play at any point. Now, the way it works is each person in the group provides a stack of bills to the Wadlord. Those can be singles, 5s, 100s, 10s, whatever, and as many bills as you want. Then the Wadlord counts that stack so they know how much it is, and the bills are all folded into a wad that the players can see and inspect, but not touch. After inspection, each player silently writes down a guess and gives it to the Wadlord. And the person with the closest guess wins the cash. Pretty simple, right? So what makes this game so interesting? Strategy. Once you've played a few times, you realize that you have the ability to vastly sway the amount of cash in the wad based on what you contribute, which gives you a better chance of guessing correctly based solely on knowing how much you've given. So, an example, if the other 3 guys all contribute 4 $5 bills and you contribute 4 $100 bills, you know that your guess needs to be at least $400. Does that make sense? Of course, maybe one of the other guys also threw in some big bills, so you need to know your competitors. So that's how Wadlord works. Let's get back to the cab line. That night, the Wadlord was chosen and the cash was given over to be placed in the wad. It was maybe 7 or 8 dudes that night, and the wad was impressive for sure. So everyone submitted their guesses. The winner was declared. It was actually a cab driver friend of mine from Zimbabwe. It was nearly $4,000 that night. Almost immediately, one of the other dudes starts cursing in some African language, throwing his arms around. Well, my dude went to collect his winnings, and the other guy tried to jump him, claiming that the game was rigged. He had a knife in his hand. Without hesitation, Zimbabwe grabs his wrist, twists the knife away, and did this like leg sweep thing to knock him on his ass. It all happened so quickly, the other dude was like knocked senseless. I talked to my dude later that night. He had risked his entire bag of cash that day in that wad because he knew that it would be enough to give him the advantage. Akanyele had spent 15 years in the Zimbabwe Defense Forces prior to coming to the States and had definitely been through some shit all on his own. Think about that. Take that follow button to Pound Town.